Howdy. I hope everybody's doing well. I wanted to give a 2025 recap on what worked, what didn't, and where I'm finishing the year at. Overall, the year was great. I've learned a lot, that's for sure, and the family and I are in a great spot going into 2026. First topic is fitness. About July, I picked up a road bike and started going out on the weekends for 10, 15, 20 mile rides. Eventually getting up to my max is 30 and rode that until started to get 50 degrees or so in the morning. And that's just a little brisk for going out for a long ride. I did do a few longer rides, trying to do some bike packing, and my fitness just wasn't up to that level, and I started to get a bit burnt out on going out on the bicycle as well. I also started walking a lot more, trying to hit that 10,000 step goal. And the wife and I would go out after a lot of meals and go for a nice mile or 2 mile walk, which was really good. I even started taking a cigar with me while I would go out on these long walks or listen to a podcast when I'm by myself. Going into finances, one of my goals was to save $10,000, and I was able to accomplish that. And that is the most money I have personally saved ever, and that's a huge accomplishment on my part. I made it a point to be mindful of my budget throughout the year, and although I went over my lower budget, I stayed under my upper budget. My lower number was 25,000 of personal spending for the year, and I ended up just under 30,000, which was my upper limit. Over the last few months, I really have started to fine tune my spending. I've been tracking it on a daily and weekly basis using a journal right here that I've put together, and I've been very happy with the results so far. It makes me a lot more cognizant of spending in real time versus putting it into an app, which I just can't ignore throughout the day or weeks. Speaking of the journal, it's really been great being able to keep track of daily and weekly progress along with just what I have scheduled. Let's see, I'll bring it up real quick. Not sure how well this will show up, but as you can see, I have weekly list over here of scheduled tasks, and then I have, a goal up here, and that is my primary focus for the week. And this week is to take down Christmas stuff as we are after the holiday. Uh, then I have secondary goals down here, just as a reminder to keep mindful of. To do is just little things, and I use the bullet journal method for moving them forward and backward throughout the journal for scheduling tasks. I have a future log in the beginning just to help keep track of things that I haven't added to the journal yet. Starting the journal has actually been a great thing for me, and it makes me much more mindful on a daily basis as I check it in the morning to record my progress, whether it's I've slept 8 hours or did I hit my step goal the night before, things like that. I also check it in the evening just to do as a recap and make sure that I've accomplished what I've needed to, but also so I can plan for tomorrow. In the past, I've always used my phone for this, and although the phone works, especially for sharing calendar events with family members or others, I like seeing the progress in a journal and written down. There's something about having it more tangible in your hands. I also keep track of my daily and weekly spending. I have a budget of $350 I give myself per week, and I'm able to just keep track of that uh, throughout the week as I write in my purchases. At the beginning of the year, I read James Clear's Atomic Habits. I think it's a great book. I would highly recommend it for absolutely anyone. Initially, I started tracking quite a few habits. Over time, I realized I really just need to focus on three or four at a time, and I see better progress. As those habits become routine, they may come off that list and then add in new ones. So, what I was tracking earlier in the year were yoga, getting 10,000 steps, doing different fitness things or financial things. Some of those have come off the list. The 10,000 steps has stayed on, especially as we go into the winter months and it's much harder to get those steps as we aren't walking outside. This morning it's 18 degrees Fahrenheit, and that is a little brisk to go out for a few miles. I also wanted to focus on my nutrition. A lot of that was meal prep and just trying to get my uh, diet a bit more dialed in. Early in the year, I did start taking a multivitamin along with fish oil. Later on, I added 2.5 milligrams of creatine, and I've been very happy with that combination. Adding the creatine really does give me a bit more mental clarity each day. I can tell a difference when I'm taking it and when I'm not. I do want to be more mindful of hitting my protein goals for the day. It's roughly 1 gram per uh, pound of weight. And for me, who's over 200 pounds, taking in over 200 grams of protein is quite a lot. And you have to be very intentional about that. I'm still, unfortunately, eating too large of portions or just fast, fatty foods. As I mentioned, habit tracking and building a routine. My morning routine really is I do yoga right out of bed. I make sure to put my yoga mat out the night before so that way at the moment I step on it, I acknowledge to start doing yoga. I just go through a quick 2 minute flow, and I've been very happy with that. I can feel better throughout the weeks, days, everything, where my body just doesn't feel as tight. I also make it a point to have a water bottle next to my bed, and shortly after doing the yoga, I usually drink about 16 ounces of water, and that really just helps flush out some of my system. As far as things that just did not go as planned, my goal was to lose about 4 pounds per month throughout the year. I started the year at 270 pounds when my goal was to finish the year at about 218. I did start GLP 1s in May and took them to about August. Initially, it made a huge difference. I lost 30 pounds in that period, and I was pretty impressed with how well it did with just satiating my appetite. One of the challenges I had with the GLP 1 was when I started cycling longer distance, especially in the heat, it was just, I fell apart. The inability to really take in a lot of those calories, especially on the bike, made it so I would get sick midway through. And that really was part of where I realized I just don't need this anymore and stopped taking them. Additionally, which you may not know, when you take GLP 1s, you don't poop a lot because your digestive system is slowed down quite a bit. And I just got tired of taking stool softeners and always feeling constipated. Um, since switching away from that, I'm back to being regular and I'm very happy to be regular. As far as my weight, I'm finishing the year at around 235 pounds, And I've kind of stabilized around that over the last 3 months. I did drop below 230 for a period when I was being a bit more active on the bike and still able to get outside. But as the mornings got cooler, my activity has just gone down. As far as meal prep, which was one of my goals for the year, I just couldn't get in the routine to do it consistently. And being in the mindset to plan out that meal and then actually follow through with it has just been a challenge. I fall back to convenience, and although I've gotten better over the last few months, we'll see how I can shift that moving forward. And part of that will be doing smaller preps, so making 4 dishes, eating one of them, and putting 3 in the fridge, and that's a lot easier than prepping out for the next 5 days. I planned to do a no buy year, and I made it about halfway through the year before making any big purchases. About halfway through the year, I bought a road bike, and although I'm very happy with the purchase, it was something I did not plan for. Additionally, as I considered replacing my 25-year-old motorcycle, I decided just to rebuild the suspension, and that's a significant investment where I had not planned for that. So between those two, that definitely put a dent in my shopping budget as far as a no buy year. Off the top of my head, I think I'm just about $7,500 for the year as my shopping budget, although that does include birthdays and Christmas gifts. Next year, I'll make sure to separate the gifts into a different category just so I can keep track a little bit better. I did fall back into the habit of buying what if items. I wanted to start going camping again and bought a few new things that I definitely didn't need. And then I didn't go camping because I realized that I'd rather spend time with my family and just go out for a few hours. But unfortunately, I've already spent that money and now everything's just sitting on the shelf over here. I hope you guys got some value out of this 2025 recap. A lot of it is also just for me to keep track of what I said I would do and what I actually ended up doing. I'll do a goals or lifestyle update for 2026 here in a few weeks. But I hope everybody had a great new year, and I wish you all the best.